Okay, so, we didn't decide who was going to jump into this thing, so I was going to sit here and wait and
We were
see
just talking
if you would
among
say
ourselves.
anything.
We have all our people here to ask questions, and you are just talking among ourselves
I
about what's
know.
going
Whoops!
on.
Look at the
Whoa!
time. Okay, well, welcome to Justice Served TV. Michael Bryant here,
Linda Kenny Bodden here. Hi.
and today is our usual Q&A session. We also have some updates on a number of things, so a bit of a hodgepodge. So let's jump right into it. First of all, the
Okay.
heartbreaking story of the dog I guess it was Milton. What's the latest?
Well, Milton is now called Trooper, as you know, and Trooper was rescued. Remember, we follow it. We were like the first ones that mentioned the story. Then I saw it went all over social media. And
You're to blame.
Milton's Trooper's in a foster home, but they have found the owner. They haven't announced the name. They showed a picture of the owner, and he has been charged with animal cruelty, and he could go to jail for up to 5 years in prison. It may not be enough. As far as I'm concerned, that animal abuse, if you abuse animals who can't take care of themselves, you are the beginning of a serial killer. In my mind, I don't care who you are, and you should go to jail for a very long time. But that's how I just feel.
I'm trying to, and I'll be the first to admit, we're playing with some new gadgetry here, so bear with us a little bit. I want to show you the picture of little doggy, if we can. There we go.
Now name Trooper.
Do we know what the original name was?
Yeah, I saw it, but I don't remember. To
kind of
be
looks
honest
like almost like an English bulldog face. You know what I mean? But the
he's
body is far
adorable.
bigger.
Yeah, adorable. His dog, I guess it was called Jumbo. I guess the dog had been called Jumbo on the side of the road because he couldn't find the state. They have just now they have released his name. The dog's owner, Giovanni Aldama Garcia. He was going to Georgia to escape the hurricane, but couldn't find anyone to pick up the dog. Why didn't he just want to take the dog with him to Georgia? That's my question. So he tied the dog to the side of the road, hoping that somebody, I guess, would pick the dog up. Yeah, way off there on the highway.
That's unfortunate.
Bye, Garcia. You're going to prison.
Yep. And, I guess trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was perfectly dry at that time. Maybe he wasn't thinking it through. I don't know. But the dog is up to here in water at the time the trooper found him. And this, the trooper, if you watch the video, is great because you see how scared this dog is. And it's just heartbreaking how this trooper is doing his best to, rescue the dog that, is afraid of everything. So, okay. That's I guess it's a happy ending. I don't know.
I think so.
Okay. The dog is good. That's the key. All right, where do you want to go? I got all kinds of stuff queued up here. Where do you want to go?
You start. There's so much happening. I can't. I have. My mind is exploding with everything that's happening.
Okay,
So let's just do it.
Well, calm down. Let's start with. Let me see if I can find this for you here. Let's start with some of the P. Diddy stuff. The latest is, of course, a number of new civil lawsuits have been filed. We were told, I think there were 125 potential victims out there, and
maybe more now. Maybe more.
I would imagine
more people have come forward and all. Somebody, I saw a post from some lawyer, and I don't know how our commenters feel, but that they thought this was a weak case.
You mean what part of it? What part of the case?
I don't know all of it. I know.
So there are a number of questions about that. So let's jump into a couple of those. And these new cases involve minors, and so
that's not. Maybe in the entertainment industry, they and you see all these kids, right? They're under 18. They're on TV shows. They're living the adult life and all. And maybe, therefore, their coworkers, who would be someone like P. Diddy, think, well, they're just right for the taking. It doesn't matter. They're pretty much like adults, and maybe they have a different mindset. But that mindset ain't going to keep you out of prison after a long time. It's going to catch up with you, and we're finding that out now.
So this is. Somebody, the freak offs that are the central key to this federal case. And of course, certainly that's where these civil cases are spinning from, that type of environment where apparently there were drug-fueled orgies with paid or forced participants. And now the spin-off of that is maybe some more private events with minors, et cetera. So this has to do with this kind of a practical question, wondering whether or not, and this is, and I can't quite, I think I cut off the top of the name, Bastido. Anyway, it may seem ridiculous, but what investigators and prosecutors, defense and jury, going to be watching these sex tapes as they go through their cases? It seems very, very awkward, maybe unprecedented. Do these things get censored before viewing, or what? Well,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about some nasty pretrial motions. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's going to be nasty pretrial motions, but the investigators will go through, having been a prosecutor and handled a major pornography bust case in my office with the investigators. Sometimes you may even make fun of them that they had to go watch all these tapes, but they had to watch them, and they actually, would then notation for them for you, because you even, in a pornography case involving children under 18, it's illegal. It's illegal even for the investigators to give out that tape. So
yeah, they become publishers, republishers of the child pornography.
Right. So it's really interesting, because if you have a case, you have to actually go into the U.S. Attorney's office, where they may show you stuff, but they cannot send it to you. They cannot give it to you in discovery as an extra thing, unless unless all that's taken off involving anyone under 18. So it becomes very, very difficult. There's going to be a lot of motions on it.
Yeah, and if you're on the defense side, obviously your goal is to have as much of that excluded as possible.
Right.
But all you have to do is have a chunk of the video connected to one of the alleged victims. It's in. I mean, that's it. That's why the more I think about this case, the less I think it's going to be a trial, and more it's going to be a major negotiation to put this guy away.
Yeah.
What from the defense side? Again, he's innocent.
He's innocent until proven guilty. He's got great lawyers.
He does, but I just think, what's the upside of this going to trial?
No, I think this is a long negotiated plea that's going to take place over 2 years. That's basically what's going to happen.
Is that what you're thinking? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what else we got. I may have another one on that front. Let me see here. Let me see on my little. Oh, we got a couple of them. One has to do with. One is a very common question that comes into play in a lot of different cases in which it's super high profile. So,
we do have a great question from one of our commenters right now, because I'm dealing with this on another issue from Taryn Dusty, right? What about the defense requesting the names of the victims? Because I have a civil case that I'm dealing with.
And that did just happen, by the way. That did just happen.
Just happened. And we actually have filed a motion that one of our main plaintiff wishes to come forward. And this is a civil case, okay? Because things happened a long time ago, and there's a question, and I can't tell you if there's an investigation or not, but we filed a motion that we want to file all of our papers under seal, because the names of people that corroborate our person want to remain anonymous, because they're scared of retribution. They're scared of all sorts of allegations coming forward. They're scared of being stalked at their house. And the courts are generally granting that right now. So it's a real interesting situation. So in a criminal case, however, the right of confrontation with the Sixth Amendment clause coming in, that's going to be some negotiation, because, the courts are now protecting victims who want to come forward.
Yeah. Of course, if they're minors, that's a different story.
Right.
Certainly not. And I think there's an argument, there's an argument to be made if you're the defendant where you're outed. Remember, you're innocent until proven guilty, but you're outed. Then why aren't those accusing you of such horrible things? Why are they not known to the public? I don't think it's a horrible argument. I think there's some merit to that. Okay,
I don't think you should try your cases in the public, but there you go.
This is there going to be a jury that isn't tainted with how famous this court case is? This is, what do I call these cases, Linda? These are Mars cases, because, unless you're from Mars, all about this case. So I don't know. You look at it procedurally. Would you expect change of venue motions again if we get to that point, or are they just going to say we're screwed wherever we go?
Yeah, I don't think it really matters wherever you go. Although there is an argument that if you're in a media market area, okay, and this is what normally comes up in cases, in a media market area, you want to be taken out, because that's what gives the publicity when you get closer to the case. As a matter of fact, if this case is going to go for a year or 2 years, by the time you pick a jury, maybe they're forgotten about that, because the frame of reference is like 3 seconds on social media right now. So if it's a media case, you do want to get out of a mass media market, and that does help. We have found when you're picking a jury, that does help. When I filed, you hire somebody to call, just like they did in Cobra.
You're basically surveying the community.
And you hire a survey.
82% of the people know about this case, and blah blah blah. So yeah.
But if you go and like, for instance, let me take where my cabin is, and I live in New York City, Sullivan County, and you do that. What's
same the address
survey.
There? What's the
address? No. You may not find that. You may find 30% of the people, and that's the argument that you present to the judge.
Yeah, and so we'll see. P Diddy's in San Bernardino. We'll see something like that. Not likely, but that's at least somewhere nearby and just out in the middle of nowhere, just east of Los Angeles. Okay, let's see. I'm just reading the comment when it pops up. Just don't mind me. Oh, it's gone now. Okay. Okay, let's see if I have. I don't know if we have another Diddy one. I will take a look. No, we don't. So let's move on to. Here's a wait. Before we get too deep into more substance. This is what I like to call a palate cleanser. A sorbet as we jump between different cases. How about this? Check that out.
Oh wow! That means that people are watching here.
Thanks.
Wow.
Al or AI, don't know, 1383. So I'm packing right now to move from Connecticut to Virginia because, as we know, this, of course, is against the law here. That's crazy.
Michael needs a pro se lawyer in Connecticut to represent
I just have to apply pro hac vice to get
pro vice in Connecticut, but preferably somebody who will do it for no cost.
Well, yes,
interested in this. Maybe they
wait a minute. I need to get Ms. Boone to write up a little handwritten, a little note. I need a local counsel to associate in. Okay, so speaking of Boone, let's just jump right in there, shall we?
Boone. There's a lot going on there in that courtroom this morning.
There's a lot, and just today, so those very important pretrial motions they talked about, among other things, the state's attempt to prevent the spousal abuse defense. Here's what the court ultimately came down on, as I understand the ruling. First of all, this is a pretrial motion. It's a preliminary motion. And as I say, Linda, I got a couple of axioms. One is never underestimate the power of likability. And another is a trial is a living, breathing thing. So whatever the judge rules now is not prohibitive. It's not going to conclusively determine the issue throughout. It's subject to change. And that's kind of what the court said. When and if she takes a stand, we assume she is. It's basically a self-defense argument.
Yeah.
Then the court will decide to what degree they can go into the alleged spousal abuse issue. So,
that's really interesting because we talked about on our last show that the prosecutor's objection would be that she has to take the stand yet, therefore it shouldn't come in, and that's where it ended up, right?
Yeah, and so they've acknowledged she's taken the stand. The judge reserved how far they can go into it because the prosecution's argument is under the law there has to be some threat or overt act to which she is self-defending, right? And they're saying the way this is laid out, what's the overt act? He's in the suitcase. Here's something interesting that we heard today that hasn't been, I don't think, out there or common knowledge. Everybody said, "How did he get in the suitcase?" And it sounded like he voluntarily, she put him in, or it was part of their hide and seek. Apparently, they were both upstairs. This is after the wine consumption. They were both upstairs, and they were truly playing hide and seek. And he chose, when he went downstairs, to get into the suitcase as his place to hide. So that answers that weird question about what kind of hide and seek when you're putting the person in their hiding place, right?
Right. That everyone had that question when I talked
about. That's right. So
he says, well, how did he get the suitcase?
He got it in there himself. She comes downstairs. He's in there, but his two fingers are like through that zipper spot, right?
Which is broken. The zipper actually
has no tab on it.
It has no tab on it.
So his fingers are poking through. Okay. And she thinks, again, this is not evidence yet. This is not evidence, but she thinks, well, then he's okay. He can get out of it himself because he's got his two fingers. That leads me to this question here, which comes. I think this is the right question. Let's see if I got it right. Yeah. She also beat him with a baseball bat while he was in there. Did anyone catch that in today's updates? That was actually first talked about a few days ago, but today, very importantly, fleshed out. Equivalent _spite_583. So yes, that was the argument, that when his fingers were a little popped out of that she hit those with a baseball bat so that they would retract into the suitcase and she could finish closing it up. Not evidence yet, but important to know that it seems to be undisputed that he got in the suitcase himself, and I think that's going to be.
But that is. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by Missy's comment. Linda looks gorgeous. Said, "Thank you very much. I appreciate that because I was crying my eyes out this morning when we lost Christina, our poodle nanny. After 3 years, she's going to live with her husband in Utah because he's back from the
She chose
military.
her husband over your dog.
Oh,
Curious.
yeah, it's hard. That was a hard choice for her. Let me tell you. So if she's watching, she's crying her eyes out too. Tubi just doesn't know because he just thinks she just went out to get a snack. Anyhow, the baseball bat was interesting because the viewers caught that when we talked about last week. The viewers caught that, and then to court today in court, it's being mentioned that that's an important issue. So what kind of that makes it even less? That makes her the abuser, right? That makes her the attacker.
Well, that could be argued as an assault, and there have been questions. I don't know if I've got it here queued up for today. If I find it, I'll let you know. But there's questions about the underlying acts for murder, and why is that not a felony murder scenario? If she is kidnapping him, again, now it looks like he put himself in the suitcase, but he probably at some point didn't want to get in the suitcase, as we know from that video.
Right.
So at some point it becomes an overt act.
Right.
Yeah, that maybe the predicate felony for a felony murder charge, which does not exist in this case. So people have just been wondering, well, why not? Why wasn't that included?
That video is heartbreaking.
That video is the case. Yeah. It's the case. I don't know what you have to show if you're her to overcome that, to be honest with you. Okay, let me see what else we got. Well, we're on the Boone triangle here.
It reminds me of the Benefield case in Florida too, where she said her husband followed her into the bedroom and then she shot him. She was scared of the abuse, and the jury came down with a lesser charge, but not guilty, but on the basis, I think, because she wasn't in immediate danger at that point. So
it's kind of
like retribution as opposed to battered spouse syndrome.
And we called that kind of like an incomplete self-defense.
Right.
Okay, there we go. This is Drake Floyd. If you got in the suitcase voluntarily, what exactly is the other felony she was committing? We just talked about that. It could be an assault, as she was allegedly hitting with a bat to get him to retreat into the suitcase completely. Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But it wasn't charged though. That's right.
No, there was no felony murder charge.
There's no felony murder. Matter of fact, they offered her a deal, and Disney Nerd is 85 says she's still stuck on the fact that she refused the 15-year deal because she's already served 4. She probably would have been out in a few more years, and that's like what you were trying this case for. You're trying this. I mean, I'm sure that Ashley Benefield would like to have a 15-year deal right now, a 15-year deal right now. So yeah, but that she's stuck on this, and maybe sometimes when you have a client. The client has one of the things the client has the right is whether the client's going to plead guilty or not, whether they're going to be a jury trial or not, or whether to take the stand or not. And so this one, whether the client's going to plead guilty or not, that's totally the client's decision. And you can't force the client to plead. If you're going to take the representation or undertake the representation, I think in this case, that you're going to trial.
Yep. And did you see her today in court? She's looking pretty natty. She's looking kind of like co-counsel.
Well, yeah, but you know what? She shouldn't look like she's a defendant. I mean, we have our everyone's dressed normal,
and
clothes.
She's not shackled either. No shackles.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be. And she may have a belt on underneath her clothes, so she may have a belt on. It depends. It depends on whether they feel the officers feel that you're a danger or not. I mean, and none of my clients have been shackled in court.
Yeah, to me, that's so prejudicial. You just can't do that.
Right.
Okay, so let's. Speaking of her refusal to take the plea deal, the woman is unhinged in every way, says Sasha texts. Fascinating, if not very jarring psychology, absolute circus for the legal system. She wants the spectacle. That has to be it, right? I'm no doctor, but I think it's clear she loves the attention.
Right.
But is she, is it a psychological condition or not? I don't know. I would think if they could develop that as a defense or as a mitigating factor, they will or would. And I've not heard anything yet about that. We do know, and this was the key to the prosecution's argument today about keeping out the battered spouse defense. She talked to a doctor, I think his name was Hartman, and maybe Hartford. And during that course of that discussion, she was asked a series of questions that the court focused on to negate any overt act that would have triggered the abuse defense. So we're going to hear from the doctor, no doubt about it. So within that testimony and his report, I'm sure we will learn what diagnosis he has and how that might impact any ultimate conviction or sentence.
One of our commenters from the last time we discussed this, where we're taking some of these comments for, that's why it's important for you to comment as you are doing on the side, said she didn't take the plea deal. I think the defense now should be insanity. So
people would believe that. Stupid woman not taking the plea, Sheila. Yeah, you have to be careful using the word stupid. I've always been yelled at for calling Ms. Love in the way I say, okay, stupid. Sorry, I calls them like I sees them. So anyway, we love the interaction though.
Yeah, I think Afton, you're right. I think she thinks she did nothing wrong. I think she thinks she's abused. And remember, in that video, she says, "This is for all you've done to me." Okay, and I think she feels that there's going to be battered spouses, no matter what the sex, that are going to agree with her, and there may be.
Oh yeah, and it only takes one. Only takes
but only
one.
6. It's only 1 out of 6, and that's hard. And why is it true. 6 in Florida, you ask? Okay, if you have the death penalty, it's 12. But other than that, all murder cases in Florida are 6-person juries, and it's much harder to get a hung verdict on a 6-person jury.
Yep. Interesting how they've gone back and forth in Florida with number of people in the box, how many it takes when you get to a death penalty phase of a trial, how many it takes. It used to be unanimous, then it went back to 9.
9, right?
Yeah.
That's after the Parkland, but they have not attacked the 12-person jury. There's been some suggestions at it, but they have not attacked the 12-person jury in a death penalty case issue.
Yeah, and I think it's the right answer. Okay, let's see what else we got here. I think we might have exhausted our boons for the moment. Oh wait, there is one. Let me see if I can find this. This is, again, I'm playing with a new toy here, so bear with me as I try to find. I'm not sure I see everything I'm looking for, but I'm trying. I do know the question had to do with domestic violence.
Well, while you're looking for it,
here it is. I found it.
We're trying to put together, and we already have the sister of somebody who was killed in a domestic violence situation, and somebody else on the date we're trying to put together is going to be a domestic violence panel. They're going to run this show with all these victims on it to try to discuss this in more detail with victims that have really suffered serious consequences, and who's left behind, the family members who feel that, gosh, why did ICE jump in? Why didn't I see anything? So we will have that panel. I've been working on it for a month to put it together, hopefully in December.
Yeah. And are you going to get a male victim?
Yes,
survivor?
We are.
That'll be great. Okay. I did find what I'm looking for.
And if you, by the way, anyone watching is a survivor of domestic violence, let us know, because we will maybe have you on the show.
So Tyler_ad_210, are there previous incidents of domestic violence, or is she just saying that? No, there are previous incidents, and there's been some talk during the motions in limine phase about how far back and how remote. Something happened in 2017, from what I heard today. I think she had some surgery of some sort. It sounded like it was cosmetic, and there was something related to that the state said should be excluded. The court did exclude most of the things that were more remote in time. So it seems to me it needs to be more than that. I mean, because if there's a long history of domestic violence, why would you be cutting it off?
Right. You can't cut it off. You don't cut it off. But that's what gives you the defense. That might
be enhancing your argument.
Right. Exactly. So, that gives you the defense. I mean, the fact that if you've been suffering from a long time, and the court says, okay, no, we're not going to. It's not like other cases where if you've done a bad act, you want to cut it off. You don't want to go 50 years back or something like that, if somebody's older. But I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so we'll see as this plays out. Again, these are all pretrial motions. Doesn't mean it's not. It's in it's in crayon, maybe chalk. It's definitely not in permanent ink. So while we're here, makes sense that we chat about a couple of things, since we're talking about.
By the way, thank you, one of our chatters, for coming forward and saying that. And if you want to discuss being on the panel on the show, let us know. That'd be great.
Yeah, we can find a direct connection for you. So we're not handling that in public. So, Boone, we had our third hint today in the Where in the World is Justice, and I believe the hint was variety is the spice of law, which followed up the one about, I can't remember the others. I can't remember. But we have a winner, so I'm going to announce that anyway. And it is Sheila Duffy. Sheila Duffy. I put a label on here just so I'd remember to talk about it. I'm trying out your mug. No, you'll actually get a brand new. It's in a nice little container and everything. So congratulations, Sheila Duffy. our second winner in the Where in the World is Justice, because we're going to Orlando. Did I forget that part? I think I
Yeah, you forgot that part. You just said Boone.
Boone.
Michael, in terms of representing Justice Serve TV, is going to Orlando.
Yes. So I'll be there a few days next week. Hope to talk to
Sheila. I'm jealous. By the way, I'm jealous because I still don't have a mug, but
I know. Well, I don't think you guessed right yet. So we hope to talk to, obviously, the folks on the street. We're going to find out what the community thinks about this case, or if they think about this case. We get kind of deep into these things and maybe take for granted the notoriety and the high profile level. I don't know. I really don't know. So I'll go down there and I'll find out, and we'll talk to some of the players. And then, of course,
you're going to go to the scene.
I'm going to go to the scene. It is now occupied by new renters, as I understand it, so they may not like my coming by, but I'm going to go by anyway. Next week, and this is important. This is important. Next week, when we do our live Q&A, I'll be down there. Anything else special happening next week during the Q&A?
Yes, we are bringing some of our chatters, our guests on to ask us questioners who have asked us questions in live. It's going to be, how Jeopardy does live question and answer. You were coming on. There's going to be 2, 3, 4 people coming on, how many we can handle in that period of time. So to be asking the question to us live on the show. We haven't named this yet. Maybe that's a good contest.
Is there a name for it?
Name what this is going to be called, because you're going to be coming on the show. You may be in the green room here for a while, our virtual green room, but it's going to be really exciting. We're excited that you get.
It is going to be fun. I'm going to be handling this from Orlando, which makes it even more disaster in the making. But it'll all work out fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Right. Now, we did have a question left over from last week when it comes to Ashley Merchant, speaking about Ashleys and different names.
Do you have one handy, or do you want me?
Yeah, I do. I do have one handy, and it's from Bahira Resabi, 2006. Okay, Ashley. This is Ashley Merchant. This has to do with the documents case in the Trump matter, also connected to YSL, because Ashley's involved in both. By the way, 33,000 people have viewed that episode. So if you haven't seen it, go on and view it. But the question was, Ashley, could the judge just order the documents be given with a period of time? Remember, Ashley's trying to get documents under the Public Freedom of Information Act, and she had Mr. Bond on, who doesn't seem to have any documents, which is unbelievable. And yes, the judge could just order, say, you're going to give these documents in this period of time, period. That's it. But so far, we haven't gotten there because they're denying that they have any documents. Or if they do, it's like 2.
I don't know how many people had seen his performance before we shared it, because he gets quite the reaction. Let's see if I can. I had a follow-up on that I think is very interesting. Let's try it. Here we go. This is the one you were just talking about, right? This was a version of that. Right. Could the judge order Bond, the rude person, to just do his job? That's the beauty of the FOIA request, is that anybody can make it, as we've talked about many times. But to take it to the next level, which is officially a civil suit, that's a whole different animal. But you're still in the civil arena. I guess you could apply civil contempt, theoretically, but it's not like anybody's going to jail for something like this. So the teeth are not quite what they would be if it were a criminal matter. You just hope that when you get in front of a judge like Dexter Q. Bond Jr. did, you would think that you would, do your job. But I think what's happening here, and this would not be a surprise to anybody who's followed, the world of Fani Willis. I think that's just the way things are going on in her office. She is the queen. You do what the queen says, or you suffer the consequences. And they'd rather fiddle about with the court and opposing counsel, Ashley Merchant, than fall under the wrath of Miss Fani Willis. That's what I think is going on there.
You know what, Michael? I have to tell you, we're almost out of time. We didn't get to Marilyn Manson, but I think we should do a separate episode on that. Just to let you know that Marilyn Manson, the DA in California, Mr. Gascon, who we talked about in another matter, just in our last show, he is being attacked in the press by victims, they say, of Marilyn Manson. They say the victims, Esme Bianco, who alleged sexual assault. And he said that he will have a decision within a couple days, a couple weeks. He's only had the case for 2 years, and despite that, he hasn't done anything. So Ms. Esme Bianco has slammed him for handling of the case. He says there's other evidence that's just come forward in the last 3 days, and he has to have his team review it. But he refuses to meet with the victim. So there we are. Mr. Gascon, who I don't think will be DA very long. Esme Bianco has endorsed him for the opponent, Nathan Hochman, in that LA DA's race.
Yeah,
so
I think that's a foregone conclusion. So it'll be very interesting, the impact on the Menendez case, as we talked about before. And to mention the Marilyn Manson, we did a story about one of his appearances in court. Right. It was in Massachusetts. We posted that back when it happened. We'll dig that up, repost that.
We're going to repost the whole.
You can get a feel for some of the allegations against him, and also
including the fact that his former fiance Evan Rachel Wood had charged him with sexual assault, said he was an abuser, and then he sued her for defamation. So we did that. We started that last year.
She spoke in front of Congress, so we have a little clip of that as well. So again, we'll dig that up. Okay, one last thing, I gotta show this because sometimes the public speaks, and you need to follow what they're asking for. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. Oh my gosh, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Are you ready for this? This relates to Ashley, who's on, very popular. More of Ashley Merchant and less of you. Now, I'm taking that personally. I'm sure they couldn't have been talking about you. Art Van Augie, thanks for, giving us a piece of your mind. I have no problem with that.
As I said, somebody said I look like the puppet Madame Lafarge. So, I mean, Michael, just take it for what it is. What can I say?
Well, I can't disagree. More of Ashley Merchant. So we'll see if we can get her back on for an update. We do, I believe, have an update with Doug Weinstein this week as well. So thank you all for joining, and congrats to Sheila. And we'll be on the road next week, but don't forget about Friday, because I think Doug's gonna have some interesting stuff going on.
And we may be live.
Who knows? Okay.
7 o'clock Friday. We'll let you know.